Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I'll be your host today. How's everybody doing? Hey, a Rolling Stone. Good to see you. Hey, Ben Bacon Bits. Here he is.
How's your day been?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Kind of a little, hey, Rebecca, and a little bit of a fog, new medication and all that.
About the same as you were yesterday, or
Not, well, yeah,
see,
but it
yeah.
tends to dissipate, throughout the day.
Okay.
But it's slow and not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There may be a thing where I'm sure your doctor probably talked to you about this. I mean, if it over a period of time, if you find you still have fog, can you go back to them and
Hmm.
have them? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's usually.
we talked about several different options.
Mm,
So, if this one does this or that, you
yeah.
know, call her and we'll do this or that. But this one is about a 6 week. It takes about 6 weeks to start
Oh,
seeing
okay.
the effects,
Okay.
but it addresses dual symptoms. It
Okay.
addresses the ADHD and anxiety.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know my clonidine makes me pass out, so but I take it at
Wow.
night, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a win-win, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah,
So,
one of them I was gonna have to take it, at the beginning of the day,
mhm.
and this one I can take at the end of the day, and that's part of my bedtime routine is taking all my
Yeah.
vitamins and my medicines and all that good stuff, so
Ah,
well, hopefully Cosmic will be here. She requested a special, um, topic,
mm.
specifically forgiveness for parents.
Can you say it again?
Forgiveness for parents.
Oh, okay.
Forgiving your own
Mm,
parent or being forgiven as a parent.
mm.
Yeah. Hey, there she is.
Almost done. I'm taking a break from work early, so
Okay.
cutting out early.
Okay.
How are you all?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm better. I did have a really good nap. Slept for an hour and a half, so
Good.
obviously needed it. And
Hello,
thank you.
Black Cat. Good to see you. Huh?
I said thank you all for yesterday. It was a bad day,
Yeah.
but thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm
I
glad you're feeling better.
I do need, or I don't know if I need to. I had a really rough morning, but what it was frustration, and
Hi,
it
Seventh.
was it was the kind of frustration that throws you out of composure really quick, and then it was a special quality of stupidity that I've been dealing with, and I must say I could see how something like that would be a trigger for somebody with a chemical dependency or something external, because yeah, it was just I just can't believe the stupidity I'm faced with, and I can see how frustration in general will cause that for people. But yeah, eventually I got it back. All good. Yeah. Wow, what a doozy.
Hello, Don Gloves. Good to see you. Cosmic, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I mentioned the topic, forgiveness for parents, whether it be us forgiving our parents or being forgiven as parents. And that was a special request.
Yes.
And yeah, let's get into it.
Well, do I start? Well, basically, I was just interested because I've had to forgive one parent. I don't forgive the other, and
Right?
now I'm in a position of my daughter won't talk to me, so I need in some way to find a way for her forgiveness, to
Yeah.
see what it was that I did wrong for her because I know I did. Nobody's
Yeah.
perfect. So I know I did stuff wrong, and I'd like to be able to meet her at her level, and
Yeah.
find out what it was. And well, I can guess, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
So and it's hard because she grew up with me struggling to forgive my mum. So it feels like this might be a progression of what she thinks is natural.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Does she know that you
Um,
and your mom are on good terms?
Well, see, the thing is, me and my mum have always generally been speaking when Angel's
Okay.
been, aware of it. It's just that she's heard my mother. My mother's done some damage as far as my daughter as well, because she attacked my
Oh.
daughter and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so
Oh,
I don't think that's a good
Oh,
measuring
what's the
stick.
word? No, I don't think my daughter would be like, oh, you know what, that's good then, because I don't think she'd like it, because she always feels like, oh, there's been some incidences where I've had to choose, not had to choose, I'd choose my kid any moment,
Yeah.
but I've had to choose my daughter over my mother. And who does that? Who puts someone in that position? And I
Yeah.
don't think Angel's not going
Yeah.
to forgive my mum for that. Yeah.
No.
So,
Yeah, no, that's messed up.
yeah.
That's messed
And she
up.
was also there with my stepdad. Yeah. So my daughter she was not quite privy to the ins and outs of what was going on with my stepdad and my mum. So she didn't really know. All she could see that was my mum wasn't being very nice to my stepdad, and then my stepdad died. So she blamed
Yeah.
my mum. So she was 15.
Whoa.
It was like 15 days before her 15th birthday. She was very young. She was 14. So, yeah. So, there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. And it's just, and
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that recently because thinking about what I would tell my 7-year-old, and it came up what I would tell my children when they were 7, knowing everything as well, and not being able to change
Yeah.
it. And I couldn't
Yeah.
word it. I just couldn't say it. It's not up to me to say it. I think what they wish that I
Okay.
would have told them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Whew, yeah. I had forgiven my dad in the early 90s. Just kind of looked at it like, he was really a damaged human being, and he was. But then when the thing came up with my brother, I'm like, and I found out that mom didn't know, and I'm like, I ought to know, because he was there all the time. And he had to know something was up. And so now I'm back at, no, I haven't forgiven him for that. But, and with my mom, it's like I believe her when she said that if she'd have known she'd have done something, I believe her. Because that is the kind of mom she was to me. She was a fighter. She fought for me to stay in school and just every kind of way she could think to fight for me, she did.
Oh,
So
that's so.
yeah. So, I don't really see any issue there, but yeah, I decided dad didn't get a pass because he had to know. He knew his son, and he knew his tendency toward fits of rage, and he had to have known too how he treated animals. He had to have known. I don't know how he would not have known.
Yeah.
I could
Oh,
be
no, it's
wrong. I
probably
could
they
be
did.
completely.
I
Probably
think
what?
in a lot of cases, people might see it, but they don't want to absorb it because it's
Right.
their child. They don't want to
Right.
think that their child could do anything wrong, especially against their other child.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and it's just like they just don't want to admit it, maybe, even
Yeah.
if.
I'm sure that there's an element of denial there, big time.
Mm.
But that's
It's the
the
only way I
part
can think of
that I'm
anyone
not.
not doing
That's the
anything.
part that I'm having trouble forgiving, is being in denial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, especially if someone says something, then believe them. And it's just
Yeah.
like, if when my kids come to me in the future, and even if they say that I've done something or I made them feel a particular way, I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong, because that's their feelings and
Yeah.
about something, and it's their feelings, and their feelings are what they felt. So how can I tell them that they're wrong about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least I got to spend the last few years of his life here on earth not mad at him.
That's
And,
good.
you know, so because I was plenty hurt, you know, by his emotional abandonment. You know, when I had
Did you get to talk to him about?
No,
Did you get to talk to him about it much?
no, he passed before we could really get there. He and Mom were on the road, and I was in California, and so that's the kind of conversation you really need to have face to face, I feel like.
Yeah.
And
It's too easy to hang up otherwise.
yeah, I don't think that would have been his style, but yeah, I would like to have talked to him about a lot of things, but he just didn't live long enough. And as far as my lifespan goes, you know, I was, let's see, I was just turning 30 when he passed, or I had just turned 30. You know, and you're just starting to figure things out, you know, especially if you come along kind of behind the 8 ball with learning disabilities and, you know, trauma and, you know, you spend the 20s just trying to figure out what hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, my sister recently lost her father, and she's like in her early 30s, and I just sort of wonder how she's going to go, because my mother abandoned her too, and there's a lot that her father did wrong, and but she holds him in such a high esteem because at least he didn't leave, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so hard for me to watch her now, because she's struggling with every new thing that happens in her life, because her dad's not there to see it. She's actually doesn't really want to have kids now. Well, she's terrified of having kids because she doesn't know how she'll feel, because she wished she had had them when her dad was around. And I keep telling her, you know, your dad wouldn't be happy if you didn't have kids because he couldn't see it, you know.
Wow. So
You
they
know,
were
I know.
close, huh?
Yeah, well, they were super close. She went to see him every weekend and all that sort of stuff. Like, he was a hard person to be around, but she loved him, and that's all that matters. And he was a good man, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like so sad for me to see. And I've still got my dad, worst person on the planet, and it's just like, I prayed and prayed and prayed for a long time that they would swap. Some magic would happen, and my dad would end up with the cancer, and Gary would be fine. Yeah, didn't work out that way.
No, it didn't.
Well, you know,
Oh.
yeah. Well, you know, there's certain people the world needs, and my dad's not one of them. So, and that goes on the level of how much I don't forgive my dad. And I forgave my dad at one point too. I thought I did.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just didn't think deeply enough about some things. Yeah.
Seventh Son says cosmic feelings are never wrong, but sometimes what you did to make the person feel that way may have been misinterpreted, explaining what you were tempted to communicate if the person's receptive.
Yeah, I think that's good in the moment. I think, but
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, 20 years later, the person generally saying the thing that hurt the other person or doing it is not going to know their intentions 20 years later, because it hasn't affected them the same way as it has the person it affected.
That's true.
But yeah, I reckon that's, you know, I try and do that immediately all the time, because I get confused by my own words half the time, because I forget what I started saying by the end of the sentence. So,
yeah. You know, when you think about it, a lot of parents pass on the wounds that were passed on to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it takes a really defined choice to not be like your parents, to not do that. And it's something you have to do every day, because you
Yeah.
fall into old habits. I know
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I followed in my parents' footsteps. I stayed, and I'm not a creep like my dad is. But I still fell into behaviors and sayings. Like, some things I would say to my kids were like, "Oh, stop crying. I'll give you something to cry for."
Oh, I hate that
And
one.
as it would come out my mouth, I'd be like, "What the heck
Hate
am
that
I
one.
saying?" You
Yeah.
know, so what person ever thought that smacking a crying kid's going to stop the kid from smacking from
Yeah.
crying? You know,
Or
So
thought
it's
that
just
was a
like,
good way to handle it, you know?
I know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and it's just that, but that one there, I think, was the one that stuck with me the most, because I don't smack my children, but it's still something that I would say. I mean, I laugh about punching them in the face all the time, but they know that's not going to happen. But you know, I'd just be like, "Stop looking at me that way! I'll punch you in the face." But it's context, you know. They knew it was a joke. When you're being serious, that's when it becomes a threat. Um,
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So
And my dad was serious whenever he would throw that one around. He was dead serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, there's so many I used to hear from my dad that I've tried to forget them now, so they don't come out. So, but I also did this practical positive parenting course, Triple P, and it's about being, instead of, it's using more positive language for discipline and stuff, and redirection and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of like gentle parenting, but gentle parenting still has boundaries. You know, it's not like
Okay.
I think the one when they don't have boundaries and little hippie kids is like free reign parenting, free range or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the gentle parenting is just like, you don't really need to yell a lot, and you don't need to use physical violence to do all that sort of stuff. And it's also trying to combat behaviors of the past where you'd instantly want to smack instead of something else. Because a lot of the times when you smack your child, it's actually out of anger rather than discipline, and the child doesn't learn anything other than to be fearful when
That's
they do
right.
something wrong, and then eventually they're not going to
That's
tell you
right.
that they've done something wrong because they're afraid.
Yeah.
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 You know,
And it's
not and terrified even, you know. And it's what
well, I was going to say it's amazing how smart children really are.
yeah.
Pick up on throw stuff at your parents, and you pick up on how they respond. I know that in my case, um, it's I was and nobody was hurt in it, but one of the instances that still sticks out. It's probably my earliest memory. I could be wrong on that, but I was a young, extremely young child, and my two how do I say this? Two of my older brothers, I had this bear I thought the absolute world of. And two of my brothers took and they hung this bear. And
Oh
I was
no.
completely traumatized as a kid. It's
Yeah.
because, and I can understand a lot of the feelings behind that because when you're a child, you think, okay, this bear wouldn't hurt anybody. What do you call it? You personify so many positive things into stuffed animals. And
Wow.
and what really bugged me about the whole thing, and what really still sticks out to me about that is when I went in crying to my mom laughed. And to me, that stuck out. And that kind of through the years, when things like that would happen, and my mother would laugh at, like when I got hit by a car at one point.
What?
I was on a bicycle. I got hit by a car, and it was mine. I didn't break any bones. I had a few lacerations, but it skinned the heels. But still, I get taken home by with the police car, and my bike is completely twisted up, and there was an old guy who had hit me, and yeah, my mother was like, "Oh well, ha 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 ha." Yeah, he does stuff like this, and it's like, what do you think happened? I mean, what part of this is this? No, and granted, I'm dealing with it as a child, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was, and in some ways, I think I learned to expect such. In other ways, I was still blindsided. So it's really
Yeah.
kind of it's kind of an odd dichotomy there, and I don't,
Yeah.
wasn't
Do you
sure.
think that's why you use a lot of humor all the time as a way of deflecting?
I think I picked up humor from my father,
Okay.
but I do
Okay.
know I tend to use it when, I tend to be a lot more humorous when I'm sick. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, it's also a defense mechanism, I think.
Well,
So
because I know that because my father is incredibly funny. Like that's one of the reasons why he drew lots of people in. He's really good at telling stories, and you just want to keep listening. He's got this one about a bird that I learned how to tell, and it's so funny. You just want to like I can't tell it because I laugh too hard. I can't breathe. Anyway, he's really really funny, and that's part of because my dad is what you would classify as an absolute narcissist, like all the traits. A psychopathic narcissist, and I think he had to the only way he could get people to come near him is by drawing in with stories. So he was incredibly funny, and so I learned by being funny and being able to tell a story. That's how you make friends. I think the way I use humor though, because if I'm not laughing about it, I'm going to cry. So I laugh about everything.
yeah,
So
Okay.
humor is my way of deflecting sadness in a way.
Okay.
I think you'll find most of the best comedians have really, really horrible childhoods.
yes. Well, I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested with your family, your parents. We're talking about your father being a psychotic narcissist and the whole 9 yards. Was your mother also, or was she? Because in
She
my
was
case,
9 years old. She was 9 years old, and my father started grooming her. So
Oh.
I think he groomed her into him,
mm,
basically. So I don't think she would have started out that way. My mum is lovely. Really, she's a lovely person. She's just a terrible, terrible mother. And and I tell her that all the time. I says, "Mum, I love you as a person, but I don't really think you're a great mum." It's fine, but
mm,
we've come to that agreement. But as far as I think she is a narcissist, but I think that she had to be to protect herself. She had to. The only one who was going to look after her was herself, because her whole family thought it was. They just let her go with them like this. Eventually, this
Wow.
13-year-old girl was moving in with him and his two kids, my brother and sister.
wow.
Wow.
So I know, right? So there's no way.
Wow.
It'd be a cold, dark day in hell before I ever forgive that man.
Mm,
And he hasn't really even done anything to me. I was his golden child. Like I was his favorite, and I knew it my whole life. And it's one of the reasons why I tried to make sure my kids thought the other kid was favorite.
oh,
they both. So I treated them so equal. They both thought each other was a favorite kid. And I used to say, one of the things my mum used to say all the time: "No, I hate you both the same."
Oh. Oh.
Oh,
Good.
no. She meant that she doesn't hate us at all. She loves us equally. I got it. My kids got it, and it was just a way of
Okay.
saying, because they
Okay.
come up to me and be like, "Oh, the other one, you love Angel more, or you love David more." And I says, if you're both thinking the other one's a favorite, I must be doing something right. But me, I knew it from the beginning that I was my dad's favorite. I got to do whatever I want. I used to get to sit and have drinks with him. I used to get like a special scotch for Christmas and birthdays.
Whoa.
I was like, right, very, very young, very young.
Whoa.
From first, I can remember, like, yeah, I actually can't stand the smell of scotch. But, and I know he didn't do anything to me because I was aware of once I got to a certain age, I was super aware of certain things.
Yeah.
And there was no way in hell, because I was waiting, I was watching. So, but how can you forgive that?
Right.
Because of the whole reason that I'm here is because he was abusive to my mother, and I'm the product of my mother's abuse. That's
Yeah.
the thing I've had to forgive myself for, is
Wow.
the sins of the father.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but it is what it is, and I now appreciate that. The thing that made me appreciate and think that I actually deserve to be here, the fact that my kids are here, and they were absolutely wanted and born out of 100% love.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's something that I wanted my son to know. And now that I think about it, I wonder if I've told him that.
Hmm.
It's hard to remember that stuff when you were abandoned
Mhm.
and left holding the bag, so to speak.
I remember being told that I wasn't wanted. I remember
Wow.
being told that I was forced upon my father.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm sure that he said many things in between that I just probably ignored.
yeah.
It's just people don't think about what it is that's happening when they say it
And don't you
No.
at
just
all.
isn't it horrific to think that the words that have affected us so profoundly since we were children, and that's one of the things that I'm thinking, what have I said to my kids at some point that's done this? I hope I haven't, but I must have.
Right.
So I just sort of think, and that's what I sort of think, oh my gosh, have I done this to my children? And that's I think an important reflection that we need to make as parents is that look back and think, what have we done to hurt our children, and what can we do to change it so they're not feeling the hurt?
Yeah.
Now, like we got to ease that inner child of our children that we didn't know how to do any better when we were younger. Because
Yeah.
I was a child, basically. I was only 20 when I had my son, and 22 when I had my daughter. And for me, I felt like I hit a goal because I wasn't a teenager, like my mum. But that's not to say. But I wanted to have my kids as close to it as possible because I wanted to be a young mum. I wanted to
Okay.
be. Yeah, my kids were planned.
Okay.
Like
Right on.
once, after I found out I could have kids, I started planning for kids. So,
Right
but
on.
yeah, and
Love that.
yeah, they're the best thing I could ever have done. So
I
yeah,
think the only thing
I
that
was
we can do to
loyal
fix
kids.
our mistakes with our kids is be there.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think that's it. You just be there, non-judgmental, as supportive as we have the space for, because we're human as
open
well. There's
communication.
only so much
Yeah.
space
Yeah,
that we have.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think, leaving a space for where your child feels like they can talk to you, and tell you if they've been hurt, or if you notice that they're hurt, maybe just, admit to the mistakes and say, look, I'm sorry. I didn't at the time. Anyway, whatever. But
whatever it takes. Yeah.
yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But just so that they don't feel like they're just left out here in the cold to figure it out, because there's no figuring it out when you're a kid.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned, though, they have to be
Right.
willing to hear it.
Yeah,
They have to be willing to hear it, and sometimes they're not.
that's true. That's true. Yeah,
So
they are people too.
Yep, they are people too. They're trying to figure out themselves and navigate through their own lives. But that parental figure in me just wants to be like, nope, we're going to talk about it. Nope, but I can't push because pushing is just making it worse. So
Yeah.
they have to be perceptive to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's
I was
a
more of
winner.
a.
That's a winner
I was
chicken
always
dinner.
more of a. You can do whatever you want to do, but this is what mistakes I've made, and I can't tell you not to do them because I'll be an absolute hypocrite, basically.
Yeah.
But I'll just say this is the outcome of what happened to me when I did it.
Yeah.
Because I'd never wanted to be that do as I say, not as I do type person.
Right.
But I also told them the risks of any sort of behaviour and all that sort of stuff. And I've got really smart kids, and they chose safety over other things. So
Right on.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just yeah. It's just. Do you talk to your son much about all of this and how you feel?
Who are you asking?
Carol, I don't know which way I'm supposed to point. You, Carol.
I guess I need a little bit of clarification.
Well, do you talk to your son much about like how you were feeling when you had to make the decision?
Yeah, I did. There was a lot it wasn't just where I was at in life. There were people that it seemed like, when you're pregnant and you're hormonal and you're already petrified, it seemed like everybody was gunning for my baby. Like my boss was telling me I'd better hurry up and make the appointment to get an abortion. And, and yeah, it was awful. And, and I already knew that was what the biological father would want, and that's my dad had drilled that into me. Like if you're unwed and pregnant, it equals unwanted child, which now looking back on it, like, no,
Not
that
the case at
doesn't
all.
compute,
Yeah.
Society expectations that they're not going to help you with a child more so, I think.
That's right. Well, and yeah, and I
You
think
shall
that,
suffer for your moral misgivings or whatever, because that's what happened to my mum. And that's why I had to get married to make sure that my kids were legitimate, because I couldn't live with the stigma that I suffered.
wow.
So, and it's just, and you sort of but why would people be like that? How old were you?
I was 26.
26.
Mm-hmm.
See, that seems like something that people would do more to a 16-year-old in a,
Right. Right.
Yeah, that doesn't compute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and so these are all influential people in my life, right? And, it's like there was just something in me that had this panic of put the kid in a safe place so nobody can get to him kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of
That's understandable.
the scared psychology of it,
And you know what? I think it's really cruel that during pregnancy is when people are expected to make these sort of decisions. Because when you're in pregnancy brain is an absolute thing.
It is an
makes
absolute thing. Yeah.
It makes things less clear. You also got all these hormones and you're feeling all these different things, fear, a whole bunch of stuff, love, overwhelm from, this fact that a lot of times you're surprised about being pregnant. And it's just like, I think no one should ever have to make that decision when they're pregnant. It should be a decision that's made after pregnancy.
That's
and I
true.
just think it's cruel.
I
And
do
have
too.
people around you, trying to influence you, I also think that's a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I guess maybe they were trying to do it with the best of intentions. I don't know these people, but I just don't think it's an appropriate
Well,
thing to
I'll
do.
tell you one thing. It's people that are not thinking. They're just reacting, and they're talking out of their reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're really thinking, you're not going to push a pregnant woman to do anything one way or the other. You just support her and let her know that she is, she's okay. She's going to be okay. That's my take on it.
Well,
But
see,
that was
whenever I hear someone
available. It's like as soon as I was pregnant, it seemed like the whole world just scattered from me because the party was over.
Man.
And that's just the kind of company that I was keeping in those days.
Yeah. Okay.
I hid a pregnancy while trying to make a decision on what to do.
Yeah.
Because I had agreed that kids were something that weren't in our future.
Okay.
And the point in time in life that I was completely and utterly infatuated with the situation, the person. I didn't want anything to change.
Yeah.
I ended up having an abortion, and within a day, I regretted it.
Wow.
He never came with me. I had a friend come with me, and that was the only person that knew.
Wow. Oh.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
I'm sorry. I'm
So when I
sorry.
decided to have Rowan, that pregnancy wasn't easy because it was the same person.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Okay. Wow.
So I have a lot of anger,
Yeah.
a lot of anger. Because it could
Yeah.
have been a nice time, it could have been a time to connect, but it wasn't.
Right.
And I'm in a situation now where it's just like, what did fighting do for me?
Yeah.
Other than just put me in a place where I'm hurt and angry. So
Yeah.
no, I don't think these decisions, I agree with you. I don't think that these decisions should be forced upon somebody, or nobody should feel forced to make a decision
Yeah. That's
by
right.
anybody, by any situation. Person should
That's
be
right.
supported.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, whichever decision they want, they should be supported, and because
Mhm.
it can go a lot the other way as well. There are children out there who are born to people who, sorry, I'm breathing difficulties, who are forced to have the child, and then that child is there, and what sort of life is it for a child when
Yeah.
I just think
And that's,
so. I just don't think anyone should have any rights over anybody else's body but themselves, and
I agree. Yeah.
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
And nobody's going to step in and parent your child for you unless you do something like I did. And so what right do they have to have any kind of say? They're not the ones that are going to end up parenting this child.
Yeah, exactly. So there's plenty. I've got plenty of friends who've had babies to people that I wouldn't think is a good idea. But I'm not going to say don't have that child, because
No.
what sort of friend would I be? Because once the child's born, I would have that child. Then my friend would have known. I would have said don't. You know, I keep whatever reservations I have to myself, and be supportive.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Tony, I am so sorry. That's terrible.
Oh gosh.
It's
I'm so
blackmail.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Of the worst
And you know
kind.
what? And it's state legitimized blackmail as well, because the husband seems to have more rights over the wife's body,
Yeah.
because you can't even have some medical procedures without the husband's permission, and I find
Right.
that appalling.
Yeah.
Because there should be some cases where the husband doesn't know what's happening, like if a woman doesn't want to have any more children, but her husband's got this breed kink thing going on. But it's really bad for women to have pregnancy after pregnancy after pregnancy after pregnancy. It's not good for a woman's body. And
That's
so I
true.
think that woman in particular should be able to go to her doctor and privately ask for a procedure, so that she doesn't have to tell her husband. Because just imagine all the people out there who are suffering from DV during pregnancy and all that sort of stuff, and they can't do anything about it because they can't talk about it because of religious or cult type things, or and that there terrifies me,
Yeah.
because the rights of the husband are placed over the rights of her, and even the rights of
Yeah.
religion are placed over the rights of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
what
I
about the
think
rights
it's
of the
kind of,
child that's born?
yeah. And I think it's kind of, from my own personal experience, I think that it's kind of scary how those times, those decisions, those rights of somebody else is imprinted on individuals still who get that right. Because this has happened so frequently, because this has happened so often, it felt like it was imprinted on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
So
decision
even
wasn't
if the
just
rights,
mine to make.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even if the rights are there in legal place, because of society has imprinted that he has more rights than you do over this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah. Mm.
How are you doing, Christy? You doing okay? Can you hear?
Oh,
Can you
and
hear,
Carol,
Christy? Yeah.
I'm
Tony would
good.
like to join the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've just been
Okay.
yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear
Yep.
you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Can
It's
you
a little.
hear me?
It's delayed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm doing good. I've been listening. I'm doing good. I've been listening, and is it hold on. I think it's where
It's kind of freezing, Christy. There's a long delay.
Uh-oh.
Tony,
Oh,
We lost her.
what can we do to support you right now, Tony?
Oh, I don't know. Never realized it till just this moment, but it's right about the time
Wow.
that I would have had that baby. Um,
Wow.
my youngest daughter and my youngest, like when and I were living in Colorado in the military, and I was willing to give the baby.
Mm.
I didn't
Wow.
want to take the baby's life, and I had somebody that wanted the baby
Wow.
because they couldn't have of their own. They were happy take the baby. No, you just
Oh,
you're rid of it,
wow.
or the kids from you. And
Wow.
I hid it for a long
What a
time.
terrible thing to tell somebody who's
I'd
pregnant.
always say, yeah, I hid it for a really, really long time. I used to tell, like, when I'd go see the doctors and they'd ask how many I have and how many pregnancies I had, I'd always tell them that it was, I just naturally lost the child. I could never say it. I could say the word abortion.
Yeah.
Me alone, accept that fact. And
Yeah.
none of my children know. And
Oh,
part of the
wow.
reason I don't tell them, I don't them hating their dad. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
they already, I don't need to add to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you know, it
Oh.
might, you don't have to tell them, but it does help to understand parents sometimes to know that they've gone through these hard things that you didn't know about. And I'm so sorry that you went through that.
Yeah, me
As,
too.
the one thing that made me be able to forgive my mum
Thank you, everybody.
was knowing what she went through. Not saying that your children have any reason they will need to forgive you, but just knowing what she went through made it easier for me to understand why she
Yeah.
had the ability to abandon me.
Yeah.
It wasn't she was running away from me per se. She loves me. She was running away from situations she couldn't handle because she was too young and she didn't have the
Yeah.
mental capacity to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, and the only if I didn't get to hear, actually, she didn't tell me. I heard a recording. She got told to do this recording by her therapist and just recorded some stuff, and I listened. I was going through her stuff because she lived at my house, and I listened to this tape, and I was in shock, and I was thinking, I didn't know any of this. I think it was after my son was born, so I was 21, 22, or probably no, I would have been 20, 21. And and knowing that, it actually made me more gentle towards her as a daughter.
You know, I bet it
because
would
she had
make a
just
lot
said
of
at
things
that
make
time.
sense.
It makes so much. It made so much make sense, and it
Yeah.
made yeah. And you know, sometimes the blame needs to be put where it deserves to be. And I'm not saying anyone needs to do this, but just for myself, because my father was my golden person because I was his, and it wasn't until I recognized, even though I was wary, it wasn't until I recognized that he wasn't a good person. Because how can a good person destroy someone else?
Yeah.
That I then was like, nah, I can't have anything to do with my dad after that, you know, and because
Yeah.
I could have gone down a whole different route. My kids could have been at his house constantly. My daughter
Yeah.
could have been at risk,
Oh, yeah.
and I would never have done that. I would never have known because my mother didn't want me to hate my dad either.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just like, Mum, it's
Yeah.
not up to you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Yeah. So I'm so sorry, Tony. I just couldn't
I am
imagine.
too.
And
Yeah.
I just wanted to say
Thank
that
you.
the last Sunday was International Bereaved Mothers Day. It's
Oh,
always the first Sunday of May. It's for the mothers who have lost children
okay.
in any way. And I think it's really important to talk about this sort of stuff because once Mother's Day comes, you know, the mothers who have children with them get to celebrate their children, and they get
Yeah.
celebrated by their children and family and all that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
mothers who have lost and don't have their children, you know, I know what it feels like, but I have children too, so I don't know what it feels like to not have children and still be bereaved. You know,
You know,
I'm a
I'll
bereaved
just
mother with children.
I'll just tell you, I always hated Mother's Day.
Yeah, I hate it too. I hated it because it reminded my kids that I was the only parent they had in their life. And Father's Day, I got all the Father's Day cards, you know. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, sure, celebrate parenthood. It's great. But we've also got to recognize that it's really tough on those out there who don't have it.
Yeah.
And all this does is drive it home that they don't have it. Some have never had it. You know, and that's why I think recognizing this day, all this pain that, you know, being bereaved in any way as a mother, a parent, hurts. And you know, it's a stigma that we don't really talk about. And so I like to name my child, my son, Kian. I like to talk about him because he exists.
Yeah.
He existed. You know, he was
Yeah.
here. His little
Yeah.
heartbeat. You know, so and I just think
Yeah.
we should recognize our children who are gone, and we should name them if they had names,
Yeah.
and talk about them because they
Yeah.
existed. And I tell my doctor and Tony, I know I was the same. I haven't had the same experience, but I didn't know that lost pregnancies were counted as pregnancies as children. So for a long time, whenever I was asked, I always say 2, but now it's 5 because
Wow.
I've, you know, yeah.
Okay.
So it's that's all I have to say about it.
Tony,
It's
does your
yes,
no, I was
Rebecca.
just going to say, does your current husband know? Or is there anyone you can talk to about it ever?
I can talk. I talk to him, to Dustin, my other partner, because we're polyamory, and I don't talk about it often, but
Right.
you guys had the subject going, so I guess I was meant to talk about it today. But when I
Right on.
told
Yeah.
my husband Nathan, we hadn't moved to Columbia just yet. We were waiting for my divorce from my ex to be finalized, and I started crying, and he goes, I said, "You're gonna hate me." He goes, "I could never hate you unless you killed somebody," and that just made me cry even harder, because that's what I
Oh,
felt like I
wow.
had done when I told him. And when I told him, and he's like, "That's not your fault. You weren't the
Yeah.
one that chose that. That was
Yeah.
forced on you.
Yeah.
You didn't do it."
Right
And
on.
so gentle and so kind, and it was the first I ever opened up about it.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you got compassion
And
with it being the
Me
first
too.
time.
I did. I got a lot of compassion from him. And even when I told Dustin, it was the same. I got a lot of compassion from him.
Yeah.
Do you know the
He kind of
compassion
went
part is
through the same
normal?
thing I did.
Most people,
Yes.
Yeah,
you know,
not yet.
it's only those who there's something wrong with them that they wouldn't feel compassion, I think. You know, so I think, and I'm not saying like that's amazing. It's an amazing, I'm so glad, because I would hate to have imagined you tell someone who like wasn't as supportive, and then that would, who knows how that would affect you for after.
Use my bathroom.
I know it would make me shut down.
Yep. Oh, have a wiggle worm. Yeah.
Even though, hello, sweetie. Hey, baby. Even though it was forced on you, have you been able to forgive yourself?
In some ways, yes. In some ways,
Okay.
no. Because I could have stood up for myself, but I wasn't strong enough at the time. I mean, I didn't become the person I am until after I met and learned what kind of a person really am, and that I have a strength, and that I can say, no, you're not going to treat me this way. No, I'm going to hang the phone up. I'm not going to take you yelling at me. No, you're not going to yell at me. If you do, I'll walk away. I don't deal well with being yelled at. And my son, Jonathan, is learning that very quickly. He cannot yell at me, because if he yells at me, I will walk away. And when I walk away, he gets madder, but I don't care, because you're not going to yell at me. Lower your voice, lower your tone, change your tone, and I'll talk to you. Don't yell at me.
Yeah.
That was one thing I dealt with all the time. He yelled down all the time, compared me to other people all the time, hit me. You know, the last time he hit me, I had a literal handprint on the side of my face. And then I grabbed his legs when he tried to jump out the third-story bedroom window of our children, right in front of our children. Granted, they were 2 and 1 or 3 and 2, but he did it right in front of our children. I had to send my 3-year-old daughter to the door to let the emergencies in so that they could get in. I didn't dare pull him off the window, because he went right through. Sure if he had glass in his belly. This is the kind of man I was married to.
My goodness. Wow.
And I had people in years. In the 9 years we were, almost 10 years we were married, I had people asking me, why do you stay with him? Why do you stay with him? Why do you stay with him? Well, he's my husband. Again, the mentality goes back to the way I was raised.
Yeah, if it's
You don't
normal
leave it.
as a child, then
you do what he tells you to do. You argue with him. He's the head of the household. He makes the decisions.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in a religious family, Tony?
Extreme religious, a cult.
Oh, okay.
I grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, yeah.
My parents were very loving. Had parents that few that had parents that eternal newlyweds, because they years ago, mom still refuses to marry, get through love. You know, and I sometimes wonder why I ended up with the person I did, to have 3 children with, to lose a child with, to find the men, really, the men I have now,
Yeah.
who are so much more understanding, who are so much more
Yeah.
forgiving,
Yeah.
are so much more loving.
Right on.
Well, you're finally getting what you deserve.
Yeah.
I count
Yeah.
my blessings every day. They love me both much and will do anything for me.
That's awesome.
And I would be lost without them. They're the ones that help me stay sane, you know, put up with a lot of my BS over the years because of my ups and downs from my bipolar and my anxiety and my and all that stuff. But he's stuck by me.
Oh, if you want to look at it positively, you just made his life more exciting.
He's not me. I could definitely agree to that. Their lives definitely are not boring with me. Yeah, they're around.
And you deserve to have wonderful people who love you and care about you. And you got 3 wonderful kids from your ex, even though there's lots of
Actually,
other things you got to.
Yes. And then I also have
I
one with
used to
Nathan.
wonder.
I have one that I accepted as my own from Nathan. He had her when he was 17. I have one from Dustin, his son Will, who lives with us, and now he has a girlfriend. So my little family has grown into a much bigger family. I love all of them the same, one of them more than another. You know, and I'm still looking forward to this weekend because I really need the break. I'm going to Ashley's again, and spending the weekend there taking care of Chayton while she goes spends time with some friends for the weekend, and then she's taking me out lunch on Mother's Day when she comes back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Jonathan and Mallory want to take us out for Mother's Day dinner.
Yay.
And to thank us for watching
Okay.
little dude here so much.
Oh, nice. You get to watch the kid and the dinner. That's awesome. It's like a bonus.
Yeah. So, but Chayton's 9, so we're gonna go Pokemoning
Okay.
this weekend. Oh, I
That
have the
sounds
most
great.
wonderful story for you guys. So, like, I'm kind of like plant freak. I love my plants. I've got a lot of plants and everything. So he asked his mom, can I have $20? If we have the money, can I have $20 so Nina can take me shopping for a plant so I can have a plant in my room and learn how to take care of it like Nina does? I'm just like, a child after my own heart.
Oh.
So,
Well, see, now you know why you
So
why you were with your ex-husband, so you could have those moments with your children in particular. Because who knows if that particular moment would have happened with anybody else's kid. And that's one of the things, like, because I used to wonder how on earth did I end up with someone so stupid as my kid's dad? Because he's so dumb. But I was just like, it had to happen because otherwise my kids wouldn't exist. And my kids are brilliant.
Yeah, and
They've got
and that's how I look
most
at
of the
it.
time you get your intelligence from your mum. Yeah, exactly.
That's what they say.
So,
That's what they say. But yeah,
thank God.
Ashley's right. Although sometimes I wonder about my boys. I seriously question. It's like, okay, yeah, did you get that? Oh, that's right. So, and Dustin, he's full of what he calls useless knowledge.
Me too. Oh my gosh. I could tell you so many things about dolphins and otters. Oh, look, I'm learning how to
I'm sorry, what,
crochet.
Becca?
I
Excellent.
figured out how to crochet last night.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
I've only learned how to do the first chain. I'm just trying to do it neatly. Because I learned the second bit is not easy if the first bit's not neat.
Okay.
I used to
It's true.
crochet.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying to
used
do
to
something with
knit,
my
which I've
hands.
lost those, but I still remember how to macrame.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
So I still
macrame.
macrame.
I just had YouTube. I was watching listening to a podcast and had YouTube on, and I had the video doing it over and over and over and over again. And that's how I learned the first time, because I can't handle anyone telling me how to do it, because I can't understand their instructions most of the time. But I need someone just show me over and over again, and I needed them to do it for a couple of hours so I get it, like the neck, the finger movements. But yeah, this is something that comes from my grandmother that helped. Like my grandmother used to always sit there. She used to pull out one of these out of her purse wherever she went.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at your face.
What are they looking at?
He looks like Pubert from Adam's Family with a little thing sticking up.
Yeah, he's got kinds of
Cute.
little curly cues on the top of his head. He got a bath last night, so I gave it to him. Are we good now? Are we good? I'm back so much. I'm getting so old.
Oh.
Fibro doesn't help.
Oh. Yeah.
So, well, for everything.
Yeah.
I've been needing to share with people, not just about that, not just that, but there's other things going on. I don't have here other than my two guys. And sometimes I feel when I share with them too much, it's kind of like an overload them, you know?
Aw.
And
Yeah.
so I tend to bury a lot of it. I have a hummingbird at my hummingbird feeder. Very pretty.
I think when you share some of these things with friends, because I feel like sometimes we need to talk about it more than they need to hear about it over and over again, you know? But it's like, but if we don't, that's why we need to find like support groups, I think specifically for whatever we've been through, because there's a whole bunch of people there who also need to talk about it. The only problem with that is it can be quite traumatic as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's true of any type of situation. But I found that a lot of the groups, especially the miscarriage groups that I was in, and just knowing that it wasn't just me, it probably wasn't my fault, and all that sort of stuff really helped in the moment just after that happened. And then there's the suicide survivor groups and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I try and find specific groups of people who are also going through the same thing, so that I don't have to sit there and talk about it constantly with my friends, because my way of dealing with things is to talk about it, because I can't process things just in my head. So I need to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So there's a few other support groups I'm going to have to go out and find. But it's just like, but it helps, and it helps talking with professionals. It helps talking with friends. But talking just helps, you know.
Yeah.
But I do understand that it is so difficult to find friends you can talk about this stuff with. And I do talk about it with my friends, but also I get bored with their reactions. I don't want them to be all like feeling sorry for me. I just want to be able to talk about it. You know, I don't want pity. I think pity is I pity people when I'm trying to be condescending to them. I'd be like, I pity you. So, but yeah, I just want to be able to talk about it and be normal, and just talk about it like it was an everyday occurrence, like it was for me. And that's really difficult to talk about with people who it's so out of an everyday experience that I don't know if I'm going to find that, you know. But I'd like to, because then if I can talk about it like it was normal, or talk about it normally, not like it was normal, sorry, it will make it a lot easier to deal with, I think.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That's
Empathy
why I
is
like
different
coming
than
here,
pity.
Carol.
Right on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like coming here, Carol, because it's not just like one type of topic. Like we all have our different pains, our different issues, our different,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them. And we can share here so we
Yeah.
don't get overloaded by going to a specialized type group. You know, we can talk about our pain, and there might be one
Yeah.
or two people here that understand it, but
Sure.
and you get a little bit of feedback from that, but then you're still not getting overwhelmed by those same feelings that you're feeling. Instead, you're getting other kinds of and that
Yeah.
return of love and that return of support and the some ideas that might not otherwise come out, because somebody who is dealing maybe with drug addiction can still relate to somebody who might be having mental health issues and can
Yeah.
give ideas and support for that. So it's
Yeah.
you have a beautiful blend here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And thank you.
Thank,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's also
Yeah.
really good hearing different perspectives from other people, because it makes you understand other people in your life a little easier. Like, I don't
That's
know
true.
a lot of people who have. That's not even true.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you guys have been through that I haven't, and I wouldn't know how to deal with if I come across it, unless because I can't explain it, but I need to relate to other people. I need to know about experiences, and a lot of that's to do with I relate to people through experiences, and that's because of neurodivergency. Because if I can't imagine it, it's unfathomable.
Right.
So, and I don't. It's really hard to explain. It's not like I am not. What you're saying isn't true. It's just that I find it so hard. It's so out of bounds of my reality. I can't relate, and if I can't relate, I feel like I'm not being a good listener, because I'm just trying to find all these little stories in my head that might match up to something that you're telling me, and if it's something I haven't been through, then I can't relate. So that's why talking to a whole bunch of different people with different experiences helps me relate to people easier. It's like I guess you could say, if you're looking at it in scientific terms, it's like you're the control group I keep coming back to so I can go out into the world.
Yep, that's it exactly.
Oh dear.
Rebecca, are you okay? I saw you crying. Or
I'm okay. I'm not completely recovered from yesterday, and the fatigue is really bad, and but I was good. I journaled this morning. I didn't work as hard as maybe I could have, so I did a couple little breaks when I started to really not feel very good during the day. I sewed a seam kind of thing. Let's just put this seam through. I don't have to, I don't have to do very much. It's just a straight seam. Just kind of to try to take my mind. I did okay.
okay.
So in the scheme of life, technically I can probably say I won today.
Yeah.
I didn't get fired from my job.
Yeah.
I have a house or an apartment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm okay. I'm really emotional, and I don't know if some of that is from taking too much of the meds the last potential 2 days, because I know I told you, Carol, the med dose that I took yesterday and probably the same dose that I took the day before is potentially 2 times what I should have been taking.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
So the dose,
Oh.
I'm supposed to be ramping up this med, and then I have 2 weeks of pill caddies so that I know I fill them up, and then I know how many meds I've got to make sure I get more, which is why I've got 2 and not 1. And I mixed up the 2. And so I started taking the higher dose before I was supposed to take the higher dose. And one of the symptoms is suicidal thoughts, this major mood swings. Yesterday was not good. I mean, I was a blubbering mess. Yeah. I could not come on.
I would definitely say it was
Yeah.
I still feel low. I'll be honest, I still feel low and I still feel not myself. And I'm realizing part of the struggle is the chronic fatigue is messing with what I feel like I should be able to do. And I don't know how to do all the things. And I can't do all the things. That's the part. But how do you pick what things you focus on when there's so many amazing things to do, so many great people to help, so many, and then I still have to work a full-time job. And yeah, I don't know how I'm going to fix that. I am okay though.
So,
and I was not suicidal yesterday. My brain thought about it, but my body knew better, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it was that I could see why someone would choose that. And then I joined needing a meeting because I'm like, Rebecca, if you don't, you risk cycling down that spiral and you got to stop that spiral.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did stop that cycle. I'm glad you came here with it. Yeah. I knew you were struggling yesterday.
Once you go there, it's a really hard door to shut. It's amazing. I mean, there's still times something small will happen, like a tire will blow out. First thought pops in my head. It's like, really? Over a tire? Like, are we really back here now? Okay, we're going to do this. Let's, start digging in and working on it.
And there's the depression portion. And I don't know. I know we talked about this. I'm not doing enough self-care. I mean, I'm doing things like taking my nap every day and kind of realizing I need more than the hour a day. I need probably more than 2 hours a day because I nap an hour.
Yeah.
Usually, at least. So kind of how do you fit it all in? And so I'm struggling a little bit with that, but I'm mentally in a much better place. But I do kind of want to cry. And I feel like I want to cry for Tony and
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Chronic fatigue is really a tough
Rebecca,
one because you have so. Oh, go ahead. But you have so many well-intentioned people telling you, "Oh, you just need to get out and exercise." The problem is, chronic fatigue doesn't work like that. Like, oh, if you get out and exercise, you would feel better. I wish it did. It would be nice if it did, but it doesn't.
Might make you feel good for the endorphins for about 5 minutes, and after that you'll be out for a few days.
It doesn't actually. It doesn't even feel good for 5 minutes because you'll get a little bit, and there's a certain portion that you're going. So I suppose you're not feeling bad, but the crash is it's like going off a cliff. It's not like you slow down and you kind of, a slant. It's like,
your lows will tend to be much lower than normal, and it's that was rough. Wow.
So thank you guys for yesterday very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for trusting us enough to come here.
I love you guys.
Love you too, Rebecca.
I'm all emotional again.
I love you too.
You were going to say something, Tony, earlier?
My Dustin, he always gets after me because I always try to do too much. And he always tells me, if you get overwhelmed, first of all, if you've got a bunch of things you need to do, but if you start there, if you want to get that done, then when you're ready to do another one, start your next task. And just one time. If you don't get it all done, you have to do it all in one day. A to-do list to a to-done list. So now, instead of in what I want to accomplish, what tasks I want to do, and then I write it down as I accomplish it. So like, I set the coffee pot up last night to make coffee. Hey, woohoo, something done. Did some dishes today. Woo, something done. Took care of my chicken steak. Woo, something done. You know, and it's just little things here and there that help me to feel better that I'm actually accomplishing things.
Yeah.
So then when I look at my to-done list instead of my to-do list, and I just use my little calendar, but like by 9 o'clock this morning, I already had that much done.
Oh, yay!
Nice. Yeah.
Excellent.
Right on.
Break down to, like, I'll break a task down, like chickens free range. I let them out, feed and water the chickens. That was another thing that I did. 7 eggs collected. That was another thing I did. Now, I could have just put deal with chickens, but then that would have only given me one thing on my list. Whereas this way, I've accomplished 3 things on my list.
Yeah.
So you break them down into
I
the
think-
smaller things, but don't do a to-do. Pick and choose what it is you want to do, what you really feel like doing. Like yesterday, I actually felt like cleaning my mantle and rearranging it yesterday. I had about that much dust on it because I haven't dusted it in a while. But I did it. I felt really good. But that whole area got done. Felt really was finished. It probably then got it more times, but I got it done. And when I wrote it was aged, so it made my what I for the day look much better. So if you get overwhelmed by to-do lists, change it from a to-do to a to-done. So I go to done, to go, to done, to go. I have one other that I do, but and my to call or something like that. But when I like, if I have to make phone calls or I have to go someplace, of course I write that down because that's a to do. But everything else is to done. It doesn't get wrote down in advance. It gets wrote down after I've done the task. And then sometimes I forget how much I actually do in a day. So it really helps me keep track. I really did a lot to put down your nap as
Yeah. Yeah.
take those naps. Because there's naps. I'm just so to done. Nap. Cool. 2 hours. Even better. You know, but it'll make you feel better
I haven't
about
learned.
your day.
Yeah. I
And then
haven't.
you
I
can
think
look
I
back
need
and go,
to
wow,
learn
I accomplished
expectations.
today.
See, I think part of my
When
stress
we
is
have
the expectation that you will do a certain amount. Well, let's say you're aiming to do at least the bare minimum of cleaning of your, like my apartment. It's just a 1-bedroom apartment. This is not huge. In a week, I can't even accomplish that. So the bathroom maybe gets done every other week. It's those things making it okay. And maybe the bathroom's not going to get done more than once every 3 weeks. And it's stuff like that I think I'm struggling with. And then, of course, I moved into an apartment that I'm not completely settled in. So I know there's all these other things. And so I kind of feel like I can't do those other things if I can't. Though I do just about every day, 95% of the time, the dishes do go in the dishwasher and the dishwasher is started at the end of the day.
Okay.
So there's a few little things that
see
have kind of become a routine. But
Speaking of bathrooms, Rebecca, I'm from Bisbee, and in Bisbee, people take a bath once a year, whether they need it or not. So, but
I'm just happy that
yeah, we're gonna be
some
outside.
days I'm just happy if I've had a shower,
Yeah.
or got out of bed and got,
yeah
washed my face or done something.
Yeah.
Because some days it just feels unbearable to do anything. So, if I've done the shower, fine. If that's all I could do that day, that's okay too. And I think a lot of it is we've got to stop being so hard on ourselves, especially if we've got illnesses.
Yeah.
Illnesses that mean that we should be a bit more gentle on ourselves, that we all should be gentle, but sometimes there's a bit of an equity thing. You know, we need to be equity with ourselves. We need to treat ourselves as if we need, you know, a ramp up a hill or something like that, instead of just always pushing other people up the hill. You know, sometimes we need that ramp, we need that assistance, and we need to give it to ourselves. And especially if chronic fatigue and any sort of fatigue-based illness, you need rest. And I've got to go to the doctor because I think I've got pneumonia.
Oh
Definitely got
no. Oh no.
Yeah, so here I am telling
Oh,
everyone to
care of
rest, and I need
yourself.
exactly the same.
Yes.
I've had it before. I'll be right. It's just I've got a chest infection, and it's either it'll be bronchitis. That's one of the reasons why I'm struggling to breathe. Bronchitis or pneumonia. So
Please go in. Yes.
But, yeah.
I used to have
Yeah.
chronic bronchitis and pneumonia. Well, chronic bronchitis, and I've gotten pneumonia, and they suspect that that's part of what made my lungs more susceptible to COVID. And what
I think that as well, because I had double pneumonia when I was 17, and never really been sick ever since. And then COVID came along, and been sick ever since.
Now there's permanent lung damage. So the appointments I made Monday, one of those is to help with that. So it's just, I'm trying to be good about taking care of the health. I'd like to believe that maybe my body can repair a little bit, but I can't count on it. So it's life.
I'm actually going to have to go because I'm going to take some advice of myself and go get some rest. And I'm struggling to breathe, so I've got a bit of headache. So,
Are you going to see the doctor today, Cosmic? Are you going to see the doctor today?
It depends. It depends if I can get a call-out doctor later on today, because I don't have the energy to drive myself.
Okay.
Anywhere at the moment. But I'll be right. If anything happens, the ambulance gets here within like under 10 minutes. I'll be fine. So
I'm sorry you're going through
I'm
that,
just
Cosmic.
being dramatic. I won't need
No, but
ambulance.
I can hear it. I can hear it. I'm sorry you're going through that. That sucks. But
And if
feel
you're not
better.
breathing, there's hypoxia risk, which is partly why I needed an ambulance to the emergency room, like the second day after. Huh?
What's hypoxia?
Hypoxia is when your body is not absorbing the oxygen that your lungs are doing. So your oxygen level in your blood gets low. And so the reason I had a little yucky feelings the day before, and then the next day I was hypoxic. I had problems. I ended up being lucky that I have a friend who's a nurse, and then another friend gave me the number for the nurse's line, and so I knew what to call because I couldn't even look up a number. So it affects your brain's ability to function and process and do all sorts of stuff. And they admitted me because it was so quick from like 0 to. I wasn't intubated, whatever that thing is. They put the tube, but yeah, they put me on
intubated. I think they call it.
Do you know how your oxygen levels are now?
Yeah, they're generally in 95-ish.
Okay.
90s to 95. And so, but yeah, there was a long stretch when I was struggling to keep it above 90.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's pretty rough.
Actually, mine's 87 at the moment.
Oh, girl.
Seriously, girl.
My God.
According to my watch. According to my watch. So, yeah, I might actually call my doctor.
Yeah. It sounds like a plan.
I actually also have a heart condition as well. So that I've got sinus bradycardia. So it means that my heart's very lazy, doesn't like to beat. So it's also what you're saying about the low oxygen. I have low oxygen already. So, all right, well,
we're supposed to be 95 and 100.
Really?
Yes.
I might check my actual proper finger. I'll use my proper finger one like I use at the doctor's.
Sounds like
how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll sure I'll be fine. Don't stress.
Feel better. Feel
Take
better.
care,
And
Cosmic.
I hope you get hold of the
Love you
doctor
guys.
today. Love you too.
And thank you so much for this topic. I think it's I really got a lot from it. So.
Good.
I did too.
Good deal.
Bye.
Somebody's rooster has a lot to say.
Yeah.
mine. I haven't been hearing my rooster.
I think
hear
it's a
your
pissing
rooster.
contest, if I'll be honest. I have one over here and one over here. And it's just kind of a back and forth thing. Every once in a while they get into those.
That's okay. I was
did
letting
that
them
laugh
eat free
with
range
you.
one day, and my rooster didn't. Left him out. He couldn't get in with the hens, and he got mad. I'm like, well, that's what you get for not listening. Now get your butt in there. When I finally went out there, and he went right into the line so he could be with his hens. And that's why he's called Foghorn Leghorn.
Oh,
I should
Lordy.
go to make myself some food and rest some
Yeah.
more.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
It was good seeing
Thank
you.
you.
I
Good
love
to
you
see
all.
you.
Some
Thank you
rest.
for the
Love you
chat.
too. Right
Love,
on.
hugs,
When-
support to everyone.
Love you too.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Rebecca, want to talk? Give me a call later.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye. You all have a great day.
Okay.
So we have a Ben, huh?
You too, Tony. Bye.
Boy, out of your birds are more noisy than my bird is. Nice. Nice. Thank you for today.
Yeah, thank you.
I must say, though, I know I don't get taken to the point of frustration where I debilitated much, but I gotta say I'm in awe of Shannon Smith and One with Cats, because being flight attendants, can you imagine? I
Ooh,
mean, I get,
that's a lot of peopling.
well, yeah, and you're dealing with tourists, and when you get frustrated, you have to turn around and say, "Oh, do you want coffee with that?" Or not, I don't know what, but they have to say something friendly, and it's like, "Oh my gosh." You can't turn around and say, "Sir, if you don't shut up, I'm going to pop your head like a Zed." You can't, because imagine the airline might frown upon that, but
Yeah, they might. We might.
yeah, sir, if I want to crap out of you, I'll squeeze your head. Probably not the best choice.
Oh, my Lanta.
Yeah. At some point,
Well, I hope tomorrow's a better day.
yeah. At some point, I do want to grill those two for their coping mechanisms, because I imagine they probably have some good ones.
Bet so too.
But you have yourself a most awesome day,
You too.
and say hi to the donkey and the roosters and the chicken.
Yeah, absolutely. Night. Good meeting, y'all. Thank you. Yeah. Heavy topic, but sometimes you just need to talk. And these are things that need to be talked about. I love each and every one of you, and I hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.